Wonderful. We're delighted to have our lead sponsor now present to us the amazing technology that Ansarada brings. And I'm very curious to learn about all the options and functionalities. I think that's a real added value for everybody. And thanks so much also for having announced that you're going to make an exclusive offer to WAPPP members and annual Congress delegates.
Wonderful. Thank you, JC. And thanks to everybody joining this session. Let me first of all just share my screen. JC, if you can just confirm once you see that that's working.
Yes.
Is that okay? Can you see me?
Yes, now I can see it. Maybe you can go full screen.
And then I'm moving that to full screen.
Perfect. I will hide myself, so you have the whole floor for yourself. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you. Thank you, JC. Well, first of all, let me just start by reiterating the comments of many speakers and delegates at this wonderful Congress with a heartfelt thank you to a small team of incredibly dedicated and hardworking people behind the scenes who are hosting regions and sectors and the executive, and with special thanks to Ziad and JC, of course. But this would not be possible without the efforts of many people behind the scenes, and to the wonderful speakers that have joined from all over the world, sharing their thoughts on resilience and methodologies and strategies to enable these critical projects to move forward. So congratulations on a wonderful Congress. And I noticed a number of delegates calling this the PPP event of the year. So tremendous congratulations to everyone. JC, I did a rough calculation and I worked out that at this trajectory, that by 2030, the WAPPP Annual Congress should be a 21-day event, I think probably held in a carbon neutral resort somewhere that we can all arrive at via bicycle. So I think that's a strategy we should work together, and hopefully Ansarada will still be there and proud to sponsor the cocktails maybe at that event. Well, Ansarada are really proud to continue our lead sponsorship of the annual Congress again this year. And Ansarada are a cloud technology company, originally based in Australia, but now a global company. And we're on a mission to help millions of people fulfill their potential. And we talk about people fulfilling their potential. We talk about raising and protecting the potential of the people that we work with. But we could also acknowledge that it is people who actually drive these thousands of PPP projects, these hundreds of governments, that without people working together collaboratively and securely to drive these projects, then they won't happen. And there's a few messages we've heard that are consistent throughout the Congress, that there's a tremendous sense of urgency, but there's also complexity and sensitivity around these projects. And so, we want to help people fulfill their potential by providing technology that helps to reduce risk and increase the efficiency of those processes. Hubert Denzel said it well on Monday, where he talked about increasing the scale and the speed at which we're able to fulfill this objective. And so today I'm really proud to launch something I thought I might never announce, but that is, we are going to make our platform available free of charge to WAPPP members for project development, feasibility, and pre-procurement preparation, so that we can help to support this agenda of driving efficiency, accelerating projects, but whilst protecting the reputation and reducing the risk for all those people involved. So hopefully that's how we're going to help everybody involved in WAPPP to build better PPPs at scale, with speed, and to enable you to help to create this future that we dream of, that we desire so much, but with a tremendous amount of confidence in the process that you follow. So there are three things that I'm going to cover in this presentation. I'm going to talk about why people use Ansarada. I'm going to show you a demo of Ansarada and explain what it is exactly that we do. And I'm going to unpack this offer that I've just announced and explain to you exactly what that offer is, explain to you if there's, why there's no tricks and there's no catches associated with that offer, exactly what you can expect from us. And then finally, I'll tell you how to access that offer and what to do if you'd like to speak to us further about that. So let me start off first of all with the why. Well, building a future comes with tremendous rewards, and it's so critical that we accelerate these processes. But it also demands that you flawlessly execute across many different complex work streams. So to build the future of living and working and commuting, you actually need to manage complex transactions with investors, institutions, and government stakeholders, maintain confidential disclosure with multiple different advisors and partners and government departments, run and evaluate some of the world's most complex and sensitive tenders, all while demonstrating best-class governance of boards and project teams and committees, and all managing high volumes of very sensitive information, so that you can build and maintain trust across that entire ecosystem of stakeholders. And the reality is that the stakes are high, and the likelihood that the current technology you use that can deliver on all those outcomes is fairly low. So what we see is that people working on these critical agendas tend to use the tools that they're given, redundant tools, things like email, internal document management systems, or file sharing systems to share information across these various different parties. And of course, that can lead to leakage, loss of control, disparate systems with different information, data silos. This non-centralized approach makes information governance almost impossible to prove the location of information. And these unfit technologies means that you can't audit the process. What I mean by this is unfit technologies in terms of if you're using any system in your process that once you've disclosed something, once somebody's downloaded a piece of information, you lose control of it. You can't audit what they do with it. You can't regain control of it. Then how do you demonstrate probity in that process? We're saying any technology like that provides a loss of control can potentially lead to reputational risk, to a loss of secrecy, potentially to a loss of investor confidence in your process. The worst case, it can lead to reputational damage for the people involved and the organizations they represent. And it really potentially puts project failure as a high potential risk. Now, in all of these projects that you consult and advise and run, each of these little points of risk as you share documents and work with good intentions potentially add up to an amount of risk that hopefully across the entire lifespan of your career never results in the kind of legal challenges or reputational damage that we're speaking of. But what does good look like then? Best practice would then instead be to have a centralized and coordinated approach to information governance across all of these work streams so that you can ensure the confidentiality and you can prove the integrity, the probity of all of your engagements with stakeholders, with investors, allowing you to collaborate and communicate, but in an audited and controlled way throughout your entire project development and approval process, through your tender process of all of your governance, boards and committees, so that you can truly demonstrate procedural compliance throughout this entire process. And so high-end, secure, fit-for-purpose, proven technology will help you to reduce risk, reduce internal process costs, increase confidence, transparency, and the auditability of the processes that you're running, while showing everybody that you're in complete control of this process. And so that's what we do. We express this mission of helping people to fulfill their potential through providing an information governance platform that company boards, management teams, advisors, PPP units can rely on to enable confident decision-making when you're managing critical projects. Our deals platform for helping to raise and secure investment, our board management platform for running boards and committees. Today, I'm going to be speaking about our tender platform, which is used for PPP, project development, feasibility, pre-procurement preparation, and the entire life cycle of the procurement and tender event up to financial close, or until award and financial close. And then our compliance platform, which can be used to map out things like the ESG credentials of a particular project. So a heritage of trust, we've been doing this for over 15 years. 80% of our customers are the top 100 banks in the world, over 23,000 business transactions that we've supported, and over $4 trillion of transactions run on Ansarada. We originally started in the M&A and deal space and quickly realized that governments needed to protect very confidential information as they disclose technical information that could potentially compromise them, and needing to keep that information very confidential throughout the development of projects. And so that's why we developed this version of our platform called Ansarada Tenders. So this is an industry-leading solution. We've been used on over $500 billion of complex infrastructure projects, some of the biggest road and rail and hospital and prison and school projects in the world, lots of energy and water projects as well in many different countries. And so what does best practice look like? Well, it's the integration of all internal work streams, all tasks, all approvals using a purpose-built project management tool. It's managing the full life cycle of data security regardless of the document location, meaning that that security continues to follow the document even if the document is downloaded and taken to another location. It would mean that you're able to produce an automated audit trail rather than spending months collating audit reports, that you'd be able to click buttons and immediately see the status of things and get audit reports to prove the integrity of the process. When you're ready then to run a tender, it would mean that you're able to provide self-registration processes for bidders to express an interest, to provide an efficient and controlled way of tracking Q&A, clarifications, RFIs in both directions from bidders, and then later in the process from evaluation teams back to bidders. It would mean a secure, controlled electronic receipt of bidder submissions without moving submissions from one submission tool, from an e-tender platform into another tool to do evaluation, a seamless movement of the submission documents so there can be no legal challenges regarding probity in that process. It would allow you to manage multiple stages of submission in different rounds potentially of competitive dialogue, to redact content in documents that you don't want evaluators to see without moving those documents into another tool to redact them, again, not breaking the chain of custody of those documents, to enable then an integrated evaluation process in the same secure environment that you have prepared the project, disclosed the project, and received the submissions from the bidders. So you can produce a complete audit trail of the entire process and really prove procedural integrity. And so these are the tools that I'm going to walk you through today, and you'll see that I've highlighted the first two on the left-hand side where we talk about feasibility and preparation, and you'll see a clue down there with the WAPP logo that these are the stages of the process that we have made the bold decision to make available to WAPP members free of charge. Once you move from feasibility and preparation, using the workflow, document security, and activity tracking features of Ansarada, you'll then begin a process of registering guests through bidder registration and then through two-way Q&A using the submission tool and the redaction tool and the evaluation tool throughout your tender, your submission, your evaluation, and your contract negotiation process. And so these are the tools that I'm going to walk you through quickly: workflow, document security, and activity tracking. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what it is that we're offering for free and how exactly you can access that offer. So let me just exit that screen. I just want to check, JC, that you can see my screen here. I'm logged into Ansarada. Just a quick check to make sure you can see my screen.
It can be seen. Okay. Wonderfully.
All right. Wonderful. Great stuff. Thank you very much. I hope everybody kept up with my speedy introduction there. All right, great. So we spoke about workflow, document security, and activity tracking throughout the project development. And everyone will call these things different things in different countries. So I'm referring to it as project development or feasibility. Some people might call it gateway review, pre-procurement preparation. All of these things have different names in different places, but I hope that terminology is familiar to everybody. So first of all, I've logged into Ansarada into a specific project, which in my example, my project happens to be called Tenders, a demo. And the first thing I've done is logged into the workflow tool over here, and you'll see that I've mapped out in my project management tool all of the different phases of my process, and I can bring additional tabs and columns and customize this based on whatever methodology you want to use, or I could import from a template an agreed methodology that we've created. Under each of these different tabs then, I can create different sections. So I've set out needs analysis, options, due diligence, and under each of them I can create different items. So another thing you might want to do here, for example, is to make a list of information that is required, and simply to make a list of all of the things that you need to produce. And thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, which we can then assign to different people. We can set date ranges for when these things are due. We can track the status of whether these things are started or in progress or behind schedule. We can actually attach the evidence of the documents to those tasks and keep a record of all of the notes. And this is completely configurable. So if you want to add additional columns, you can do so. And so this allows you very quickly to customize any methodology that you want and to track drafts and final versions of documents, and then approved versions of documents, which you can make different people responsible for. That enables me to see the progress of my project. And if I go to a Gantt chart view of that, I can see the status of my feasibility process. And if I find that one of these things is running behind schedule, I may just want to move that back and change the date of that process to represent the status of the project. Of course, once we have approved versions of these documents for each different step in our workflow process, I would want to move them to a secure place where I can disclose them to other parties. And so that enables me to move, in this example, the approved needs analysis document, and the only one that I want is the approved document. I'm going to move that into my document index. I'm going to move it into what I've called my gateway review, just to use another terminology. And I'm going to put that into my feasibility folder. So now that I've done that, I can come down to the document section. I can find the information that I've moved, and this is disabled. So we haven't yet disclosed this to anybody. Before I disclose this, I can check exactly who's going to see this information. And what's critically different with Ansarada is that I'm not only going to decide to give access to this document, but I can decide to switch on advanced security controls that continue to audit and maintain control of the document after the point of disclosure. So after somebody has downloaded this document and copied this to a hard drive or to a USB stick, if I have this control switched on, I can actually continue to audit the use of this information. So I can prove fairness and integrity of the process. I can absolutely categorically prove who has seen what at which stage of the process. I can also choose to disable features like printing or editing. So in this example, I'm going to allow the bid specification committee to see a document. I'm going to track it. I'm going to allow them to save it and print it, but not to change it and not to copy and paste anything from the document. The last security control I can apply is a dynamic watermark, so that if a member of this bid specification committee, let's just call them Andy Potter, was to download this document would have the name Andy Potter on the document, my email address, and my IP address. So Andy Potter is then not going to share this document with somebody that he shouldn't, because he knows that the name Andy Potter will continue to follow this document wherever it goes. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm speaking about an advanced level of security that enables you to reduce risk and really to prove procedural integrity throughout a process. So now I've determined who can actually see this document that we've added to the feasibility. I will now come and enable that document. And the people who have access to this folder will then receive an email notification that a new document is available, and they can change that in their notification settings. More importantly, if I choose to then remove access to this document, even though I've disclosed this document, and even though then the bid specification committee members may have downloaded this and saved it somewhere else, if I ever come back and change these security settings, I can actually remotely kill switch and destroy that document wherever it sits. So if an advisor or a team member, or for any reason somebody leaves the process, or a document no longer becomes relevant, you can actually withdraw and regain control of confidential information. Maybe it's a list of bidders, And after you've shortlisted it, you're going to remove access to certain confidential technical information because they're no longer continuing on in the process. But this gives me the ability to set out my entire methodology and workflow, to coordinate everybody around those activities, to have a very high level of document security and control. And then because of that control, to be able to produce over 20 different audit grade reports to demonstrate exactly who's seen which documents, which people have asked the most questions, if there are any questions that remain unanswered, and it helps me to manage the probity of the entire process. So that's workflow, document security, and audit reporting. And these are the tools that we're going to make available for WAPP members free of charge, specifically for the preparation, the development, and the pre-procurement phases of preparing and accelerating PPP projects. Of course, if those projects are approved and they then move into a phase where you want to engage with guests, which we call bidders, at the point in time when you engage bidders and you invite bidders to come and participate in the process, to receive market sounding documents, to run expressions of interest, requests for proposal stages, to engage with them through contract negotiation processes, for them to ask questions, for them to be able to make digital submissions in a very secure and controlled fashion that ensures that those submission documents never leave an audited environment to be moved to another piece of technology. If when people make submissions you find things that shouldn't be there, that you don't want to disclose to auditors, this gives you the ability to then redact and blackline and remove content from documents, again, without them leaving the chain of custody of that audited environment. And then it enables you to set up all of your evaluation criteria. And most importantly, having created these criteria, which is again completely configurable and flexible, you can then tag the documents that are relevant to each criteria directly to that evaluation criteria. So here is the redacted technical submission from bidder one attached to one of the technical criteria. And I can then ensure that the technical evaluators 1 and 2 that are going to see this information don't see anything that they should not, don't see pricing information. They're only able to see the technical information that is tagged to the criteria within the evaluation tool. It gives the evaluation lead the ability then to see a summary of the status of evaluation. And once all of the evaluators have completed their reports, it enables people to work together to reach consensus and produce summaries of all of those bidder scores. And so this is the process that I'm referring to when I speak to feasibility and preparation. And then you can clearly see once you invite bidders, guests into the process, bidder registration, two-way Q&A, submissions, redaction, and evaluation to take you through the whole life cycle of that tender process. I hope that has not been too quick for everybody. I've said a lot of things in a very short space of time. Well, then it comes to the final part of my presentation today, which is talking about how we've partnered with WAPPP to really, and we're really excited to make this offer available. We've never done this before, but we're excited to make this world-class technology used on some of the biggest infrastructure projects in the world, many multi-billion-dollar projects that have been run all over the world on Enserada. And it is the same version of Enserada that we are making free, not a free trial, not for 30 days, not only for 2.5 users. So if there's anybody in this session that has 600 Gmail accounts so you can get 1 extra month free of Netflix, you don't need to do that with this offer. This is free, but it is not a free trial. We're providing full capabilities of Enserada, all of the workflow capabilities, full document security, and all of the audit functionality free of charge. This is for an unlimited number of users and for an unlimited time period. So we're not trying to catch you out by getting you hooked on something that we will then take away from you later. More importantly, when you think about freemium, you think about reduced functionality, or there's no support, or it's only for a few users. We're taking all of those roadblocks away, and we're genuinely committed to trying to help accelerate the professionalism and the speed at which you're able to bring PPP projects to the market. So we're going to offer full training and 24/7 support from our 3 different global centers of client success teams based all around the world to help you have the best possible experience of using Ansarada for project development, feasibility, and pre-procurement preparation. So the only time that you would then pay for Ansarada is if you decided to continue to invite guests into the platform and to use it to run your tender process. So no tricks up front. You can use it for as many projects, for as many users, for as long as you need to prepare your project. If you decide to use Ansarada then to run the tender for those projects, there'll be a point that we would convert to a paid subscription at that point. So of course you're under no obligation to do that. And so if there is no tender on the platform, there is no risk and there is no fee involved for you. Most importantly though, you're able to use the same tool to provide that seamless next step and to enable a complete audit trail throughout the entire life cycle of your project by using this. And so I'm about to show you how you can register for that offer. Let me just read these 2 terms and conditions and disclosures before I move on. The first one here is it's free, but it's not a free trial. If you look at the bottom there, we're saying, please be aware this is a limited availability offer that we are making for WAPPP members attending this conference. So this is not an offer that we are launching all over the world. It's not an offer that we're launching in every different platform. This is really limited, and it's something that we are doing with very genuine, heartfelt intention to try and assist the objectives of WAPPP, the PPP units that are members of WAPPP, and the members and advisors who are members of WAPPP. It's a fair use policy, so we don't want you to use this to upload holiday photos or your mother-in-law's apple pie recipe, which you think is confidential. The fair use policy is that our intention here is for this to be used to help accelerate PPP projects. And very importantly, we are offering this free access to the platform without prejudice, meaning that if in your procurement regulations in your country that accepting the use of our offer and using our platform for free would prejudice us from ever being able to be contracted by you for you to use us for the tender phase, then please don't use it for free. We don't want to be prejudiced by the heartfelt intention behind this offer. If in fact you need to run a procurement event, even if it's for $1 or $10 or $100, you can name your price, but we'd like to make sure that we don't fall foul of any procurement regulations by offering this for free. So please speak to us and make sure that you can accept this without prejudicing us later in the process. The second asterisk you'll see there is just that we reserve all rights here, and this is subject to a review. So let's see how this works out. If we can provide value and help you, and there's some degree of conversion for us later down the line, we'll continue to do it. But if we see that this is not used for the intention that we have, we reserve the right to withdraw this at subject to an annual review. So those are the only terms and conditions applied to this offer. Okay, so how would you go about accessing this? Let me just close this over here. I've opened another browser just to show you what this looks like from my point of view. And so if you come into AirMeet, you'll see that there are expo booths on the top alongside your reception and your schedule. If you come to these expo booths and you come to Ansarada's expo booth, I've already accepted the offer, so you'll see a Christmas present, a package wrapped with a nice bow over the top here. And if you click and register your details, it's quite hard to see, which is why I wanted to show you, but there's a button under here that says register here. If you register through that link, you'll come to a white paper that we've created together with WAPPP on building bridges and how public-private partnerships can help to shape a sustainable future. You're welcome to read that report, but here's the offer. And if you register now, this will take you to a page with a registration form and you can sign up. So that's how you would access this offer. And I hope that has been wonderful. Because I was in full screen, I can't see any of your comments, but I see lots of smiling faces and sunglasses. And yeah, I delighted to share this with everybody today. That's all from my side, JC. If there are any questions.
Hello. Thanks for this presentation. It's a good presentation, and we learn a lot on it. Please, how are you going to share this presentation to our emails, please, for better this, because we want to have the presentation, sir. Thank you very much. I mean, from Nigeria.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you so much for joining from Nigeria. Some amazing projects happening over there. When you signed up for this Congress, there were some questions about whether or not you wanted to receive offers from partners. And if you have accepted and said yes, then we will send an email out probably next week with a link. You can also come through the Expo booth and register an interest, and then I'll share that presentation with you. And of course, this recording will be available on the WAPP LinkedIn page, along with all the other recordings from the Congress.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Ziad.
I just wanted to come on screen to thank you very much for an excellent offer. Really, I think our members can derive great benefit from this. Many are not present in the session today, but we have to make sure that we communicate this message to them because it is an outstanding offer. Thank you very much for extending it, especially to our members.
Thank you, Ziad. And I know this is something we've been working on for quite a long time, trying to work out how can we do this. So to have the full support of Ansarada Executive behind this, I think it's amazing and very genuine offer from our side. What I would like to encourage members to do is to collaborate around those templates and those workflow processes to really try and think about best practice methodology and how you take all of the things we've learned about people first and value for the future and circular economies and green procurement and ESG, work out how we can work all of that into a methodology that we can share so that we can really accelerate the success and the progress of PPP projects around the world.
Thank you. I think there are other questions, so I'll leave the stage now. But,
Thank you, Ziad. Yeah, hi, Oksana. We don't want to speak about specific projects by name. I've intentionally in this session removed references to specific projects, but we work together with investors, investment banks from all over the world. As I mentioned earlier, the sort of 80% of the top 100 banks in the world are using Ansarada, and I think over 23,000 transactions. We're also a member of G-Cloud with the UK government and being used by UK government, used extensively in Germany and various countries. So I won't try to mention specific projects there, but absolutely we've worked all over the world with international development banks. Can Ansarada on certain PPP project stages be used jointly with other software projects? Yes, absolutely. Certain governments have their own proprietary tools. Thank you, Eric. That's a brilliant question. So the issue with e-procurement and certain governments having their own proprietary tools is there are lots of regulations around the world that require that you must disclose tenders at certain processes in particular government portals, and I'm really pleased that you raised that point. And where we've seen Ansarada used is to complement those processes. So of course you would still need to disclose certain stages of your process as you are required to by regulation, but very often those tools don't support the rest of the process, so you're welcome to use us for the rest of the process. But also once you've disclosed those documents on that government portal, very often when people ask questions, they end up coming through to you as emails or spreadsheets. There's no workflow around forwarding them to the correct advisors and back, so there's lots of breaks and potential for risk in that audit process, and it makes the entire process very difficult, very manual. So it looks digital, but it ends up being manual. And so we've seen clients when they run high value, complex and sensitive projects, use Ansarada to complement those processes, to announce their tenders on their government portal, but then once they've done the expression of interest, to then actually bring the shortlisted bidders through to Ansarada to ensure that the actual RFP stage and the contract negotiation stage is managed in a far more auditable and controlled way. So we complement those technologies. And so we're not controlling a document. Don't you think controlling a document someone else's computer will limit the number of users? Yeah, so we're not actually controlling anything on the person's computer, Oksana. All we're doing is we're wrapping the objects, which could be documents, drawings, they could be all sorts of different things that are disclosed. We're wrapping the object in encryption. So it's absolutely non-intrusive in terms of people's privacy or security. It's the object. When the object is accessed, it's audited and tracked. Now, if that level of sensitivity and control and audit is not required, you can switch off that feature. It's not on by default. It's something that you have to select to use. And so we've never found that that's prejudiced us from being used in any international projects. It's a feature that you can choose to use if it's appropriate and it's not intrusive to the person's device. Well, thank you, everybody. JC, are you still online? There you are.
Yes, I am. And
Right.
we seem to have answered to all the questions that were in the Q&A box. Thank you so much, Andy. I think it was really exceptional, and many people will take you up on that offer. We're directing them to the Antarada Expo booth. And when you navigate there, and there you can formulate all your questions, and I'm sure that Andy, as he's an excellent, a business development director, will follow up professionally with all of you. Thank you so much. And I'm closing this session now.